Well, hello there folks, it's another week. You know what that means? Yes, it's a brand new video. In today's video, I'm going to be covering the Balvenie. I'm looking at continuing the little run that I had, comparing 12-year-olds with older bottles, just to see if they're worth the extra money, the extra time scale in the bottle, if it's worthwhile purchasing one of those older bottles, if it's just worthwhile just sticking with the younger one, the 12-year-old one. So without any further ado today guys, I'm going to do the Balvenie 12 double wood, and I'm going to compare it to the 17-year-old Balvenie double wood, just to give you an idea and give you my take on it. Balvenie, it is Speyside distillery. It's owned by William Grant and Sons, and it's sister distillery to Glenfiddich. It also has Kinninvie, and it has now Ailsa Bay as part of the stable. All those bottles you'll find, with the exception of Ailsa Bay, then the Kinninvie, the Glenfiddich and the Balvenie make up Monkey Shoulder. So the distillery, it has 11 stills. It's got the 5 wash stills and 6 spirit stills, and it has a capacity of 5.6 million litres. So it produces quite a bit of whiskey. So the cask types that it uses a lot of various casks. It uses Madeira casks, rum casks, port casks, bourbon casks, sherry casks. So it uses a lot of different casking and lots of types of whiskey. I'm going to concentrate on the double woods today, which is, it's matured in ex-bourbon casks, and then it has a little finishing with European oak sherry casks. So without any further ado, I'm going to crack on with the double wood 12. So let's see how it is on the nose. Wow, this is what I would class as a kind of classic whiskey. I have bought this a few times, and one of the great things is it's got an outstanding nose to this 12-year-old double wood. It's bottled at 40% ABV. It has a little colouring, and it is chill filtered. I say it's double matured. It spends about 11 years and 10 months in ex-bourbon casks, and it has a little finishing for a couple of months in a European oak sherry cask. The Balvenie, it's up there in Dufftown, which is near Elgin. So the nose, wow, straight up front there's lots of sweet vanilla. The sherry, although it's only a couple of months in the sherry cask, the sherry's quite influential. It's orangey, it's strong on oranges. Also smells quite juicy, it's like a juicy fruit. There's lots of honey, and it smells a little bit woody. Let's taste it. Slanch. Okay folks, on the arrival, it's really sweet, lots of honey. It's a little spicy prickle, but it's lovely. It's quite intense, it's building, it starts off quite soft and then it builds. But say the main thing is it's very, very, very sweet. It's full flavoured. Getting a little hint of chocolate now. See, it is spicy. I think the spice is cinnamon. It's got a nice oily texture. And it's quite complex, this. For a 40% ABV, it's quite intense and it's quite complex. Lovely, lovely dram, this. Let's do a little bit about the finish. Just before I do the finish, it's actually gone a little bit nutty now. But as I say, it's really, really well balanced, this. It's lovely, lovely. They've done a great job here at Balvenie. I think this one's been around for a long, long time. I think this, if I'm not mistaken, somebody may correct me, but I think this was one of the very first whiskies that was ever done with a little finishing. So it's been popped into some sherry. I think it was, I'm pretty sure it was one of the very first ones to be done. This Balvenie Doublewood. I think it replaced the 10-year-old. On the finish, guys, it's quite a short finish. If the nose is fantastic on this, the palate is fantastic on it. The nose is, it's just a short, the finish is just a short finish. But it's got everything there. The oranges are there, the chocolate's there, the spices there. And then it just kind of goes off. It doesn't hang around, but I don't think it detracts from this whiskey, because I think it's one of those kind of, it's a stable whiskey, it's a kind of go-to whiskey, it's one of those that you should probably always have in the cabinet. And it's probably a great starter whiskey for beginners. But all in all, I think it's a good. So let's have a crack now at the 17 Doublewood. It's 5 years older. Let's see what the 5 years does in the cask. See if it makes any difference to the whiskey. Anybody that's quite observant will see that I've got 4 glasses here. I've actually poured a second one. I've had it covered. That's been sitting there for about 20 minutes. So I'm going to see how it does sitting in the glass and see if it makes any difference. So let's crack on with the 17 Doublewood. This one's bottled at 43% ABV. This might be quite interesting for those in the US that's watching. Is it in the UK, it's the 12-year-olds bottled at 40% ABV and the 17 is bottled at 43% ABV. But I do believe in the States that both of them are bottled at 43% ABV. So this might be an interesting video to decide which one you're going to buy, because there's no difference in the alcohol. The only difference is the extra 5 years. So let's see if it's worth it. Again, this is done in ex-bourbon casks and finished in an Oloroso sherry cask. This is much sweeter. There's much more honey in this, and there's lots of vanilla. So they've both got great noses. Again, you've got the orange in this. A little bit of difference in this one. I'm actually getting some cherries, some raisins, and some sultanas. Dare I say it, it's a little kind of Christmas cake nose on this one, which it reminds me a little bit of maybe Glenfarclas and maybe an Aberlour. Again, it's quite woody and it's quite oaky. So everything that's in the 12 is here in the 17, but this is a little bit more Christmas cake, and it does smell a little bit more syrupy, if that makes sense. It looks a little bit thicker, but I'll taste it on the palate. So, slange. On arrival, guys, this is a little bit sharper. There's a little bit more prickle, a little bit more spice. And although this is 17-year-old, it's coming across a little bit youthful. It's a little bit aggressive on first impressions. It does have a thicker mouthfeel and it is a bit syrupy. Again, I've got the Christmas cake, I've got the raisins, the sultana, cinnamon spice. And as it's developing, it's going a bit drier and a bit woodier. But I don't think this is as complex as the 12-year-old, which I'm a little bit surprised considering it's 5 years older. I'm not really getting a lot more difference. It's just really the Christmas cake in this one. And this one is it's a little bit uptight. This might do a bit better with a bit of time in the glass with this. And I think the sherry overcoat that it's been given it, the sherry is really dominating this. I think the ex-bourbon casks are getting kind of swamped with the, although it's only, I don't know how long it's been coated in sherry, but the sherry's got a big, it's a heavy sherry influence in this. Let's try a little bit more. Yeah, it's still prickly. It is a little bit aggressive and a little bit youthful. Don't get me wrong, it's still a beautiful dram. Finish on this one though, this is where the difference, on the 12-year-old the nose is beautiful, and on the 17 the nose is beautiful. They're both sweet noses. The 17's a little bit sweeter, a little more honeyed, and a little bit more sherried. The 12-year-old is just a really nice sweet sherry nose, a little bit of honey in that, and some orange citrus on that one. The palate, I think the 12-year-old is better on the palate. It's a little bit more complex than the 17-year-old. Just a little bit more going on in the palate with that. But when it comes to this one, I think the finish is much better on the 17 than it is on the 12. I think the 12 is just a really nice, it goes off, doesn't really go anywhere. The 17 lingers a little bit longer, it's a little bit warmer, a little bit spicier, and it hangs around a little bit longer. So, let's see how we get on with they've been in the glass now for about 25 minutes, let's see how we got on with those. See if it makes any difference. Let's start. I've got my little aquavit toppers on these. Let's see how we got on with the 12. On first impressions, guys, it's just as sweet, it's just as lovely. Honey's a wee bit more prominent, vanilla's stronger. I think all the same things are there, guys. They just jump out at you in a bit more in your face kind of fashion. But it's still beautiful. Wow. Lovely this. It's much more juicy fruit now. And it's a bit oaky. Everything's just enhanced. But it's still this, everything's there. I think if I was pouring this, I would leave it a little bit longer before I started sipping on it. Let's taste it. Oh yes, it's lovely. It's very, very juicy, very sweet, very vanilla, lots of honey, lots of orange. Beautifully balanced, full flavoured, and it's complex. Yep. No, I would, if I was sipping on this, guys, I would definitely leave it. The finish is just the same. It just kind of blends off and goes quite, doesn't hang around, goes quite quick. So let's try the 17. Wow. Super sweet, super sherried. Lots and lots of honey. This is definitely benefiting from the time in the glass, guys. This is not as uptight as it was earlier. It's definitely settled down. I'm getting some chocolate. Lots of that Christmas cakes. Again, everything's really prominent. This does definitely settle for the time in the glass. Let's taste it. Yeah, it's still spicier. It's still got a little bit of prickle, but it's not nearly as aggressive as it was earlier on. So yeah, definitely I would settle with this. I have tried this as well, guys, with a little bit of water in it. It does benefit from just a touch of water in it. It just helps, takes the edge off that little bit of aggression. If you like your cask strength whiskies, then you'll like this with that little bit of aggression in it. Yeah, finish is great. Finish is long, spicy, warming, really nutty, oaky. Yeah, no, it's definitely, the 17 is definitely better with water, a touch of water in it, and about 20 minutes in the glass. The 12-year-old, you could easily take the 12-year-old just straight out of the bottle and you would sip it and you wouldn't be missing anything. If you did give it a bit of time and you weren't in a hurry, you would get a little bit more back. But yeah, the 12-year-old, I just crack on and fire into that. The 17, I would definitely give it some time. So other than that, I think they're two great whiskies. Matured exactly the same way. The only difference is 5 years longer with a 17. Price point on the 12-year-old, it's about £35. Fantastic value, should be in everybody's cabinet. Where it comes to me, where I find it a little bit more difficult is when I go to the 17, it's coming in at about £95. So that's where I'm having the real problem with this, guys. It's £60 more. There's not a lot of difference in the whiskey. Would I pay the £95 for the 17-year-old? Well, the simple answer to that is no, I wouldn't pay the 17. I wouldn't pay the extra for the 17-year-old. I'd rather go and buy a couple of bottles of the 12-year-old, and I don't think I'd be missing out any against the 17-year-old. In the US, I think you've got a wee bit more on your favour. In the UK here, I'm getting the extra 3% in alcohol. In the UK, you're getting exactly the same. You're getting 43% in both whiskies. So I think it's even more of a no-brainer if you're in the US. Then I think you'd buy the 12-year-old all day long. 17, don't get me wrong, if I was out and about and I was in a bar and the 17 came along, then I'd quite happily buy a dram of the 17. I just wouldn't stretch to buying a bottle of it. So in the core range of this Balvenie, guys, they have the 12, the 17, there is a signature bottle, we have a Cuban mix, we have a Caribbean bottle, Caribbean 14-year-old, we have a single barrel 12 and a single barrel 15. and we have the Portwood 21. We have a 25-year-old, we have a 30-year-old, we have a 40-year-old, and we have a 50-year-old. I think as regards with I think Balvenies, for me, it's better at the younger. I think the older it gets, I think it kind of loses its edge. I think it then becomes more collectible for the collectors. I think it's got a better name for collectible whiskies as it gets older. But for me, I think if I was going to be buying Balvenie, the younger I buy it, the better I think I buy it. I think where I kind of draw the line maybe is at the 21 Portwood. I've tried the 25 and I just wouldn't pay the money for those the money they're asking for those bottles. So to continue my comparisons of 12-year-olds against their older rivals, I think the 12-year-olds came out on top again. I'd be quite happy to buy this 12 over and over and over, as long as they keep it at that price. If they were to bring this 17 down a little bit in price, which I think is very highly unlikely, I may consider the 17, but at the minute, for me, it's the 12-year-old all day long. So that's another review, guys. That's me. I'm Alan, the Whiskey Friend. If you've liked it, please give me the thumbs up. Please share it with your friends. If you're a returning subscriber, then thanks very much and welcome back. If you're watching for the first time, you may want to consider hitting that subscribe button down below and maybe clicking the bell for future notifications. So until next time, I'm Alan. Looking forward to seeing you again soon, folks. Thanks very much.